and testing our live streaming. So please, if there are some issues with the audio, please let me know in the comment section so that I am able to address them as soon as I can, immediately as possible. Okay, so for this live stream chat, what we're going to do is that we are live here on our YouTube channel as well as on our Instagram channel. And what we're going to be doing is that we're going to do a simultaneous simultaneous live stream. But the live stream that we're going to do today for Instagram is that it's going to be cut off somewhere around the third topic because we will be doing two minor topics before we move on to the main topic, which is the corruption that we see at Miss Universe. We want first to discuss a couple of other topics that I think that needs our attention. Okay, so for those who are new in our live stream, who are joining us today, hello, good evening. Hello, Aino Boy from Crown. Nasa Instagram live natin siya today. So as I was saying, we have to first discuss a couple of two other topics first. And first and foremost, I think we need to start rallying support for Myrna because we only have, I think, around 5 or 4 hours left on the Miss International voting. So if you haven't voted for Myrna yet, please go on the Miss International app and give her a vote. She needs our support. She needs she needs our presence to rally behind her because I think we have a fighting chance with Myrna to be in the top 5 this year and potentially even be the next Miss International. Ayun, sabi ni Aino Boy, malakas nga daw sa Japan si Myrna. So please, please let us provide her with the best support that we can, like we did our other girls who competed at Miss Earth and Miss Universe earlier this year. So bigay natin yung bigyan natin yung karapatan naman na suporta para sa kanya because I think she is the girl who has the biggest chance of bringing us a crown in the Big Four this year. Okay, so aside from that, I also wanted to tackle this topic. Gusto kong ma-address siya before we go to the main topic on the Miss Universe. Kasi we need to give space then for Emma Tiglao. And because nag-live si Emma kasi. Si Emma yung klase ng tao that would not be talking about an issue or would not be talking about a non-issue rather if it did not affect her greatly. And for her to be very descriptive and very very outspoken about with what happened with her at the Miss Universe finals, where a member of a pageant team was rude to her. The behavior was very unacceptable because if you know that Emma is a reigning queen and she is asking for directions where she's going to sit down, where is her seat going to be, at least give her the grace to be able to find her place within the seating arrangement. Okay? Kasi syempre, may mga seating arrangements yung mga yan. Hindi nakakagandang asal yung nanghahampas tayo, tapos naninigaw tayo, when we could have just said it in a polite manner that, can you lower it down? Can you, pwedeng yumuko ka ng mas mababa kasi nakakaharang ka sa punto de vista ng mga nanonood. And I am sure, because the Impact Arena Hall or Impact Hall medyo malaki yan na space, malawak yan na space, hindi naman kinakailangan na maging overly rude tayo when it comes to someone who's trying to looking for her seat, because pwede naman talaga tayong maligaw because it's a flat stage, and hindi naman siguro makakawala sa pagkatao natin na hinahan natin yung boses natin at hayaan na muna siya na mahanap kung saan siya makaupo. I think it is important that as Filipinos, we also recognize that Emma is a reigning queen, and we kind of need to give her a little bit more respect. Sabihin na natin, o sige, hindi malaking bagay sa'yo na manalo siya ng Miss Grand International, pero yung tratuhin mo siyang tao, siguro naman hindi masyadong malaking ask yun sa'yo, because the person who is involved in this is a vice president in a pageant organization. And if you are at that level, then you have to be more professional. You have to have learned to know more of what is decorum, ano yung decorum na kinakailangan na iasal para hindi ka naman magmukhang salbahe. Okay? Because there is an air of offense when Emma was doing her live stream and explaining her experience. And I understand where she's coming from, because in previous na mga Miss Universe na mga pageants, there are some people na associated with past candidates of ours na ang hilig mag-fence in, na umasta as bodyguard, na umasta as parang pag-aari nila yung yung magpa-picture ka sa candidate natin. Even if yung mga regular lang na mga fans, they kinda exhibit that kind of entitlement where they are a little bit too overprotective, na OA na kung minsan hindi mas marami pa sila gumagwardya sa candidate natin kesa yung reigning queen. And this happened in Las Vegas, this happened in other pageants, at hindi lang Miss Universe, it also happened in other pageant systems na hindi ko na lang sasabihin kasi malalaman nyo kung sinong team yon. So, ang hinihingi lang namin is magpakumbaba ng konti. Kasi hindi niyo naman pag-aari yung Miss Universe, hindi niyo pag-aari yung venue, hindi niyo naman pag-aari yung kabuuan ng arena. So, the least that you can do is be nice. Okay? Kasi hindi nakakawalan ng ganda, hindi nakakawalan ng respeto, hindi nakakawalan ng pagkatao kapag umastal kang mabuting tao sa kapwa mo. I think that when it comes to decorum, the mere fact that I think Emma's team are thinking of legal actions or thinking of ways to bring this up into authorities, medyo hindi tama yung topic lang. Kundi ang pagkakasabi kasi sa akin ng mga naka-witness is hampas siya. And yung hampas na yon may kasamang sigaw na umupo ka, sit down. And may sinundan pang hindi porke MGI ka. May ganun na instance na dumagdag sa kwento. Kaya it felt like this was not just a simple smack, but rather a really hard slap. And I understand kasi alam kong excited ka, pero sana naintindihan mo na hindi yun yung tamang asta or hindi yun yung tamang pagkakataon na umasta ka ng ganon. So I think you need to apologize and mean it. And with all of these fake Facebook na mga profiles na naglilipana, I do hope na mag-post ka ng apology dun sa actual mong actual mong account. Or the best thing to do is do it privately, message Emma, and talk to her in person, and magpakumbaba ka kasi hindi nakakaangat ng pwesto mo yung pagiging vice president mo sa isang pageant organization kung ganyan ka umasta. Okay? So, hello everyone sa mga nandito sa live natin on Instagram. Gossip Girl is here. Thank you for joining us. Mamaya, please shift to our live stream on YouTube because I'm not going to continue the entire live stream on Instagram dahil may limit siya. Okay? El Ticuyo de Venezuela says halata naman sa IG stories niya before Emmy Finals na matara yung VP, naiinis siya sa constructive criticism sa mga fans. I get it. You are part of a large pageant organization, but still does that give you a license to be an asshole. Langaw ka lang or tagak ka lang nakatuntong sa likod ng kalabaw, akala mo ang taas-taas mo na. It's not, that's not professional, umasta ka based on how high you are, and the higher you are, the more grounded you should be there. Now, I think we have to go now to the main topic. But before we do that, again, I am rallying support for our own Binibining Pilipinas International, Mirna Esguerra. Please, if you haven't voted yet, you haven't downloaded the Miss International app, please do download the Miss International app and vote for Mirna. Because the top 5 has advantages to make it into the semis later on. And I do hope that we rally behind her because tomorrow, the 26th, tama ba? 26 na ba tomorrow? Or, no, today is 26. Tomorrow, on the 27th, we are going to witness at around 6 p.m. yung start ng Miss International na pageant. Okay, so for those who are joining us on our YouTube channel, please don't mind me looking down because I am doing a double camera setup. So don't get confused, okay? So it looks like our Instagram live is freezing up. So I'm gonna end our Instagram live, and then may I ask and invite everyone in our Instagram to join our live stream on YouTube. It's posted, the link on our story, so please join us there. Okay? So there. Now, let's go to our topic. Our main topic for this evening, which is the corruption that seems to be seeping into the Miss Universe pageant. Now, I understand that the Miss Universe pageant is a highly contested competition and that everyone in the world is paying attention to it, looking at it, dissecting it, being very microscopic in terms of looking at the details of the pageant. But it also invites scrutiny because of its popularity. And I think that with all that's happening in the Miss Universe pageant, we have to understand what is going on, what seems to be the problem with the pageant, and how are we going to move forward. Because I feel that there is an opportunity to learn here, in as much as there is also a opportunity for us to rally behind, the people that we supported in the pageant. So it is not very surprising that a lot of people are a bit surprised with the choice of Mexico's Fatima Bosch as Miss Universe this year. It's not surprising that the fandom's reaction is polarizing. Some are in favor of her win, while a large majority seems to be very up in arms when it comes to the results of the pageant. And I understand where they're coming from because nobody saw her as a potential winner. And it was only when Omar Harfouch, who revealed a day before the pageant that there are forces that is moving towards having her crowned as Miss Universe. That we are now understanding the width, depth, and breadth of the problem with the Miss Universe pageant. Okay, so when he revealed that choosing Mexico would be a good uh, business strategy or a business move for the Rochas, he did not mince words. He said what he said, and he was very public on his social media, despite the fact that he resigned from his job as a Miss Universe judge. And upon seeing all of these discrepancies, seeing all of these and witnessing all of these conversations about even down to the trophies that would be uh, transported to Thailand, to everything, it kind of gives me a it gives you an impression rather that um, the 120 plus candidates this year was there for background as a Miss Universe has already been chosen. It felt also that they were there just to increase the number of candidates and get, around 10,000 per country, 10,000 US dollars per country as its franchise fee. So it was a business move. And it felt that way because there were rumors that there were business relationship behind the choice of having Fatima Bosch win as Miss Universe, and it didn't help that just a day after or a couple of days after her crowning moment, there were already receipts that is being posted on social media, on Twitter, on X, formerly known as Twitter, about the business relationship of Fatima Bosch father and Raul Rocha. And apparently, Rocha has a business relationship with Bernardo Bosch, the father of Fatima, who oversaw Bernardo, the father, oversaw Pemex, which is a government company, and it granted a 745 million Mexican pesos worth of contract with Raul's company, which is Soluciones Gasiferas del Sur, um, that is laden with questionable uh, practice. So in that instance itself lends to a conflict of interest because you have here um, Fatima Bosch father who has a relationship with the owner and a competition that is highly contested. It kind of gave us or rather, the optics is terrible. It kind of showed that there probably was rather a behind the scenes, perhaps, conversation that you want a uh, you want a you want a additional contract later on, make my daughter win. It cannot be removed from the minds of the audiences of people who sees the full picture that they might have been an under the table um, arrangement, for the lack of a better word, because of that. And we cannot fault people for thinking that way, especially in a highly contested competition where Fatima did not deliver the kind of performance, the kind of um, intelligence and communication skills that is expected to be at par to someone like, let's say, Olivia Yasi, or even Venezuela's Stephanie Abesali, or Miss Philippines Atisa Manalo. So it is that kind of questionable choice that makes all of this a little bit more difficult to swallow. All of this, all of these questions on what could have been the reason why Fatima won over the more popular, the more strong performers at the Miss Universe top 5 or even top 12. Because I personally don't see Fatima moving past the top 30 after seeing her performance at the swimsuit and the evening gown competition. So it was for me a surprise to see her at the top 12, but it was even more of a shock to see her make it into the top 5 and eventually winning Miss Universe, because you have Olivia Yasi, Stephanie, and of course Atisa giving out, strong answers that is really very much the standard of what we're looking for at a Miss Universe. So it was for me kind of difficult to mesh together that reality that the strong speakers, the strong performers were lower in the ranking compared to the ones who were weak in the top 5. Now, I know that this is probably a opinion, a personal opinion, but if this opinion is shared by a lot of people, then that is kind of the reality or the truth that people see. The people who sees and says that this feels wrong, or the winner seems to be have been announced in reverse order, then that is the reality that we should all face, because because no matter how hard we push for something, when the people do not accept it as so, or the fans don't accept it as so, it is kind of difficult to make that connection that this is acceptable to the pageant fandom. So with the past relationship between Bernardo Bosch and Raul Rocha, people now are thinking that perhaps it was the business relationship that tided over the interest of Raul Rocha to crown the Mexican candidate as Miss Universe. And we cannot fault people for thinking that, because there are receipts that has been available on Twitter and has been posted on numerous pageant fan pages. And it's so hard to question that, because all of this seems and looks very shady. So question the veracity and the truth behind these reports, but you cannot remove the fact that people will think that there is a terrible connivance behind the scenes that we are not privy to, but feels very much of a reality behind the scenes. That's why something that something as Mexico winning is so hard to accept. So had it been that Fatima performed well and executed well, then her victory, even if let's say they call it rigged, or they call it cooked, they call it niluto, it is easier to accept had it been she performed at the same level as the other girls in the top 5. And in fact, had it been that so, then nobody will question her win. However, her poor performance at the swim, her poor performance at the Q&A that is not up to par to, let's say, even that of her compatriot, her Latina compatriot, Venezuela's Stephanie Abesali, it's kind of difficult to swallow that this is the level of a Miss Universe winner that we are now forced to accept. So look at it from the perspective of the audience, of the fan base who have been in the pageant, supporting the pageant, watching the pageant since the 1980s, the 1990s, even as early as the 2000s, you would see that these people are not stupid. They understand how a girl wins because of either looks, performance, intellect. But if all of that, other girls is more, or rather, other girls have supremacy over her on those fronts, then it is kind of difficult to swallow that she is the best among a field of 125 candidates. So I think we have to understand that if there is a conflict of interest from the very beginning, um, we should have been able to say and to be vocal about it, because this is not the first time that we've seen an issue with Fatima Bosch winning Miss Universe, because even apparently during her Miss Universe Mexico stint, it was the second runner-up that a lot of the co-candidates were supporting to win for the title. So if she has two questionable wins, um, then maybe the problem is not on the fans. Maybe the problem is on the people behind her manipulating stuff, allegedly, of course. Um, and we are so hard to try to understand the choice among all of these wonderful women. The one who was difficult to pick as a winner, the one who is difficult to understand as a winner, is the one who won. The one who had a weaker Q&A, weaker pasarela, who um, understandably one of the weaker overall performances, was the one who made it over other girls who were stronger. And I have to also mention here that her fifth spot is seemingly stolen from the likes of Guadalupe's Ofeli Mezino, Yashali of Puerto Rico, or even Yamilex, Miss Universe Latina, because I would understand if Yamilex made it into the top five over Mexico. Okay? So, before we continue, I want to go through some of the comments here because medyo marami na rin pala ang comments natin dito. Okay. So, okay, Marest 666 said, should we boycott Miss Universe until the current ownership changes? Hello from Surrey, British Columbia. I don't think so. I think then we just need to take a break perhaps from the Miss Universe pageant. Me personally, I have unfollowed for a time being because I'm still trying to process how I feel about this changes, this scandal, this string of scandals and controversies that the Miss Universe pageant is facing rather. So maybe it is a choice of individuals whether or not they would still continue to support the pageant. But for me, since I don't have any business interest or any business relationship with them, I think the best recourse that can be done is to unfollow us as of now. Okay. Now, with regards to people who have business relationships with Miss Universe, if you really want to send a message to the pageant, the best thing that you can do is to actually reduce invites to them. Maybe perhaps take a page from what France is gonna do, where they are rethinking if they need to still send a candidate next year for Miss Universe, because until all of these question on fairness and transparency is settled down, then we probably are not gonna get a satisfaction in the pageant and the kind of winner that they are choosing. Okay? Uh, D. Yuson says, sorry, I'm late. No, you're not late. We started with several other topics before you joined, so it's okay. John Snow, 79, says, any comment also regarding the alleged involvement of the current Mexican government with Fatima's win? I think, the president of Mexico made made probably a social faux pas. Um, I am waiting for more context, more information about that. But it seems to me that she was just blurting what came immediately into her head, and perhaps she was mistaken with what do you call this? With what she wanted to say and blurted out, the first words that came out. So I'm still looking at it though. Once there is more information about what was the thinking or what was the thought process behind behind that statement, I'm not gonna tackle it for now, so I'm gonna table it in muna, box it in, table it out of the way muna, and then once that we have more context, more information about it, that's when we talk about it. Okay. um, Another question from John Snow, 79, says, do you think that Raul selling Miss Universe is already the plan all along and that is already sold with the new winner? I don't understand why Raul is saying these things that will push him down further down the drain. I think it's better that we discuss that a little bit later because there is a section here in my list where we are going to be talking about all of these pronouncements from Raul. El Tucuyo Venezuela says, if she's like Sofia Aragon, we are very happy. We're very happy for her actually. Melissa Flores, who is unplaced in 2023, is much better than Fatima too. I kind of get where you're coming from because seeing Melissa Flores compete at Miss Earth, I know that she is far more capable of delivering, a better performance. And I understand where you're coming from because I see that, and I agree with our colleague Mark Sobrajahani when he said that Sofia Aragon probably is the best Mexican since Jimena Navarrete competed in 2010. And I kind of agree that had it been Sofia who competed this year and won Miss Universe, it would have made sense. I don't see that with Fatima, unfortunately, but that is the reality. Okay, and this is coming from more than 20 years of experience watching Miss Universe. So I started like late in the 80s, early 90s, following the pageant. So I kind of understand, the evolution of selection, of winner selection, how interviews before was very important, how performance in the pasarela was a major factor in winning Miss Universe during the Trump era, and how it all became equal and even during the IMG era and until now. So it kind of dawned on me, the choices on how a Miss Universe is selected. Jon Snow, okay. Yes, I am going to tackle the passport issue. And here's what Jon Snow says. The passport issue was so funny. If the next Miss Universe or the next Miss Visa verse in Puerto Rico will happen, it will be Singapore versus Malaysia. Amazing. Yes. That for me was very questionable because you don't select a Miss Universe based on her passport because if I'm not mistaken, Brazil, Leila Lopez of Angola, not Brazil, Dominican Republic, what's her name? Amelia Vega, sorry. And Leila Lopez had you know, weak visas, weak passport when it comes to entry to other countries. But the Miss Universe organization seems to be able to work this way out and provide them with travels. So I don't understand why that was something that Raul said that imagine Imagine a Miss Universe is barred from being Miss Universe because her country does not have access visa free to other countries. So it doesn't make sense. Um, uh, Fuiko says, I think being indifferent and show no engagement to the Miss Universe socials is a measurable action. I agree. Since they are only looking on the metrics, they see only engagements rising, no clap, no show. Agree. Vina Marshall, 9135 says, Mexico equals Rocha, Thailand equals Jacafong. Venezuela equals Osmel, Philippines equals Pure Merit. Okay, Vina Marsha, I also wanted to be fair because Mexico had Raul Rocha. Thailand, of course, has Kun An, but she is no longer as active. But there is a Thai in the judging table. Venezuela, Osmel is no longer part of the Miss Universe organization. But there is a Venezuelan something Fonseca in the judging table as well. So the same thing is applicable to Miss Philippines because you have Louis Heredia, who is a fan, an actual fan of Atisa, judging the Miss Universe pageant. The only country in the top five that did not have an advantage, to be honest, is actually is actually Cote d'Ivoire's Olivia Yassi. So with all of these that you mentioned, makes Olivia Yassi's placement into the top five all the more by merit. If we are going to look at it from that perspective, okay. So there. Let's now talk about another topic that leads to the call for transparency in Miss Universe as well as the visa issues. Okay? So, when the runners up started not to update their Instagram profiles to reflect their finishes, their Miss Universe finishes at the recent held pageant, I kind of got not worried. I kind of got curious because that is an accomplishment. Why are they not including it as part of their laurels on socials? Then we had a couple of winners, continental winners, passing on the title. We have, of course, the Miss Universe Asia we call this continental title offered to Vina. She passed, did not take the title. It was offered next to, of course, to Atisa Manalo. She also passed and did not and declined the offer. Then that's when we had China as our continental queen for Asia. Then you also have Olivia Yassi resigning her continental title after receiving and accepting it. Maybe it was a knee-jerk reaction that she was there. Maybe she thought that she could do something with the title and have something to make out of it with intent, with purpose. But it kind of did not feel like eventually she wanted to, or her values did not align with that. So perhaps the understanding here is that maybe there is something in this organization that is really very difficult to work with. Because after Olivia Yassi was named, fourth runner-up, we also had Nigeria's Idima last year commenting in a social media post insinuating that the experience as a continental queen for Miss Universe isn't much of an experience at all. And dito papasok yung conversation natin on the posts from other countries, like when Portugal posted about her experience as a mother in the competition, which was echoed by Estonia, saying that it felt unfair that Mario Bucaro said something about um, what do you call this? Something about you cannot be sorry um, about Victoria cannot get married because she is married to the Miss Universe organization. Maybe it was taken out of context. Maybe it was taken out of differences in perspectives. But for a president of the organization saying that in front of the candidates, he should have had the wisdom to think that maybe people will be taking this out of context if I don't explain why I said that and what is the context behind that. So I understand that all of this is spiraled one after the other. So when Olivia resigned her title, um, of course, Raul is going to protect the Miss Universe brand. Say something that the Miss Universe has always been very fair, very has the brand has integrity. But with the way that it's going, it kind of feels like these are just stopgap measures to stop the bleeding. Like it is band-aid solutions to the continuous scandals and controversies that's popping out. Now, Omar Harfouch again reveals a video where he accuses Raul, saying that judges should not be picking, countries from Africa and some from Asia, including Lebanon, um, and not pick them as potential winners because of the visa limitations that they had. And for Raul to have an interview confirming that bias, saying that, take for example, Cote d'Ivoire. How can you make her travel as Miss Universe if she has to apply for a visa for 175 countries, not knowing that Olivia Yassi is also a U.S. passport holder, which makes her one of the easily travelable candidates in the top five. So it doesn't make sense, all of what he's saying, because for me, it now feels like he's trying to destroy the Miss Universe brand with all of these interviews so that he can sell it off piece by piece later on. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Let me just go through all of these. Okay, so when Raul said that Cote d'Ivoire cannot win, or insinuated that she cannot win because she can only travel to such number of countries, it shows two things. One, he does not know anything about the candidates. So he is so easy to jump into conclusions. And number two, he could be the one dictating the judges that this is going to be what happens later on. So all of these insinuations, all of these allegations that's going out, um, all of these things that is really very much of a massive red flag, it now feels like he is the one, the puppeteer, who makes everything move from behind the scenes, while the pageant fans are seeing only the front end and not the back end of what's going on. So it now feels like maybe the judges were there as a show. Maybe he selected the judges that have conflict of interest. Like, for example, you have Luis Heredia, because he has a he is a fan of Atisa Manalo. Then you have Natalie Gluvbova as a coach for Miss Universe Canada. You have, of course, Andrea Mesa of Mexico, who was a coach um, at the Miss Universe Latina, so that they cannot speak up if in case trouble hits the fan. And that for me feels like very much of a planned, pre-planned, very conniving way of manipulating from behind the scenes. That perhaps all of this noise about about Fatima walking out, not participating with the sponsors, was planted so that it gave um, it gave some sort of validity to her win later on. Again, I cannot prove these things that I'm saying, but this is how I feel that could be what's happening behind the scenes, which allows us to have like an explanation on why things have fallen into this way, why the domino pieces fall down like this. So, yun yung nakikita kong possibility. That is the possibility that could have had happened behind the scenes. Now, of course, after the visa issue came out, you had other candidates. First to come at the defense of Olivia is, of course, Guadalupe, who says that she is against injustice, and it really kind of snowballed after that. After that, you had Curacao, you had Turks and Caicos, and then you have one more, several other candidates who spoken out about the unfairness or Palestine there, who spoke about the need for transparency. Because if you look at their post, they were kind of very not inflammatory, but they felt enraged. It feels that it was enraged in terms of the tone, in terms of the way that their message is delivered across. Because here you can see at the comment from Ophelie, he said that, "Are you trying to find a racist excuse for the fact that you didn't choose someone who is highly qualified for the job?" So you can feel the emotion dripping there. You can feel the rage, the anger from her comments, and she adds additional questions asking, is the reason why you had all of these, Caribbean countries join Miss Universe is just so that you can get their franchise fees and steal the opportunity from them to be represented at the Miss Universe top 30 or top 10? And that's a valid question because even Camille, oh, I forgot. Miss Curaçao's last name, Camille Thomas. I think that's her name. Okay, even Camille Thomas echoed the need for transparency and echoed the need um, for fairness in the competition. Portugal, of course, mentioned about her experience as a mother competing at the as a wife and mother competing at the Miss Universe pageant. Then you also have, of course, here Turks and Caicos, who was even more echoing, the sentiments of the other girls. So essentially, here you're now seeing a kind of like a um, play of behind the scenes versus what's going on at the front lines. There is a very noisy front line, and then there is a behind the scenes going on that we are not privy to. And that probably explains all of the shenanigans that has happened at the Miss Universe pageant and the finals results, because that could have explained why Fatima won. Maybe the business relationship between Bernardo Bosch and Raul Rocha needs to be protected. That's why he probably chose Fatima as the winner. or requested even. It is possible that way that he requested Miss Universe Mexico to crown a particular candidate and then send to Miss Universe. So she is crowned Miss Universe because all of this have been um, echoed by Omar Harfouch. And if we are going to thread all of these individual pieces of information, now we kind of understand that maybe this is the reason why, Fatima Bosch won. It's because of business interests. Probably because of potential business dealings with Fatima's father as a uh, Pemex director, or potential, business dealings with, the Bosch family businesses. So I know it is very speculative at this moment that the idea might be, so far fetched. But if you think hard with all of these scenarios, maybe this is a strong possibility. If you are going to look at it from the perspective of someone in business, of course, you cannot remove that we are all coming from the same colonizer. So we all understand the Pañero system. And I am sure everyone understands what the Pañero system is. I'm going to do a little bit of this for you. You're going to do a little bit of that for me. And then we're even. So that, is essentially the reason why I have been saying time and time again about conflicts of interest in the judging table, in whether it's Filipino or non-Filipino. I am always advocating for the equal, opportunity for the girls to compete at a level playing field, because what we're looking now, if we are going to thread everything that we've known so far, this might be the likely reason why we got the kind of results that we have right now. So it is very possible that corruption has permeated into the Miss Universe system in that way, or in that manner. Okay. Um, Other than that, I also want to rather to tackle a little bit of two additional points here regarding Nadine Ayub, who questioned the Miss Universe app on the selection of the most beautiful people, where she is leading. Why was it not awarded during the winners' night? And then lately, the Vietnamese national director Valentin Tran is asking how come the third place in the Beyond the Crown Beyond the Crown voting was not awarded to Vietnam, considering that they garnered higher votes allegedly from the fourth placer. So all of this question, when it comes to transparency, echoes the same question that Natalie Glebova was telling us when she posted about how come there was no official tabulator at Miss Universe this year. Before, you had Ernst and Young handing the official envelope of the results to the what do you call this, to the host, and that did not happen this year. And that again is another questionable factoid that can be asked to the Miss Universe organization. Why are these safeguards are not being put into place so that the results is unquestionable? Okay, so before we move on, because I also want to talk about Kun An, let's read some of your comments, because I'm sure there's a number of comments here that there's okay. I have to go through some of the comments earlier and the latest ones. Okay. Marky Yub is asking, ano pong meron sa kapost ni Atisa? Then may post din si Luis na may good news daw po. The one with Atisa, I am not sure. However, I think with Luis, he is invited, I think, to either host or perhaps to what do you call this, to cover the Miss Cosmo later on this December in Vietnam. Okay, but let's wait for official word on that, official announcement on that, because of course we need to make sure we what do you call this, we verify before we confirm. Um, Vin Marshall, 9135, says it was reported that Andrea admitted that the final judge's scores was only 30% of the total scores, and she does not know who gave the other 70%. So Heredia had almost zero effect. Then, if that's the case, then there is a need for transparency. There is a need for Miss Universe to explain this shit, because this is not something that is normal. It needs to be explained, because that essentially will tell you why is the results this way. If there is no one from the organization who can explain where that 70% come from, and how come it was only during the finals that it was instituted, then where is fairness in that? How can it be fair when the judges who are supposed to be doing their job only accounts for 30% of the scoring? Saan nanggaling yung 70? And then there was even a question of, didn't they announce that 10% of the final judging is going to be coming from the votes? So what happened to that again? So again, we need to have answers to this, because it taints the results. It paints the Miss Universe organization as to be unfair. Okay? Rika W5XFO says, 40 says, I really think the fight with Nawat was scripted. People are saying that it was the reason why she won. Then why have different rounds in the competition? Again, that could have been a planted situation. So I cannot. All we have right now are speculation. But if this speculation remain unanswered, then it keeps on dragging the Miss Universe name further down the drain. Jon Snow 79 says, so last year's first runner-up saying that she's happy that it's over and that she does not want to do anything with the org. Also, I saw the video of Haiti showing her two passports being a dual citizen of Haiti and the US. That's because, of course, Miss Haiti, Melissa Sapini, was also Miss USA Massachusetts in, I'm not sure if it's in 2023 or 2024. And she was top 10 in Miss USA. So, yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from. Because if passport is an issue, then work your way into requesting requesting access to, so that your winner can travel, because that doesn't seem to be an issue with let's say Dominican Republic's Amelia Vega, or Angola's Leila Lopez, or even the current Miss World, Opal Suchata of Thailand. She's been to a lot of different countries as of now. She even went to Sultan Kudarat for the Miss Sultan Kudarat pageant. So I think if the org is meaning to really make the most out of a winner's reign, they would do whatever it takes so that she can travel. Okay? World Trotter here at Beyond says, good job, thank you. We try. We try to make sense out of this very convoluted topic, because it seems that there are so many issues popping out here and there that doesn't add up. And we need to string all of this information together to make sense out of it, why it seems that this is what's happening. Okay? Jon Snow is saying here, MU is for women empowerment, and now the contestants say contestants are empowered in rage rallying against Raul, the owner of the Miss Universe organization. D. Yusan says, will it help kaya if MUO just releases the final votes of the judges, miski na may D&D silang pinirmahan, I don't know if they will, because if they will, they probably are gonna make it appear like it was fair. The best thing that they could have done is to have the tabulators reveal the scores and not the Miss Universe organizers. And they won't do that, because if they do that, then it would look like it was an admission of guilt. Because now there is a question on their um, integrity as owners of the pageant. Okay? Rika W5X40 says, imagine Fatima passing the crown to the next Miss Universe next year. I wonder how people will react. Well, I think it's going to be more peaceful or less inflamed, because she's going to pass her title to in a Latina country. So people will probably be more accepting of her win by then. So there. Okay. Before we continue, let me just add, to the conversation. We are just trying to thread together all of these speculations, all of these what do you call this? All of these pockets of information that has been popping out, so that we are able to make sense of what's going on. Okay, now let's talk about Kun An, because right now she is behaving like a fugitive, because after she deactivated her social media, suddenly we are inundated with news that she sold 52% or her share to a Mexican businessman, and had the payment transferred via cryptocurrency worth around an estimated of 6 billion baht. Of course, natunugan siya ng Thai SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission in Thailand. And they are now having an arrest warrant for her from Thai authorities, because she skipped the sentencing that she's supposed to be in. Now, if she fled to Mexico, and the rumors are true that she already secured a Mexican passport and Mexican citizenship through her connection with Raul Rocha, then it's going to be very difficult for her, or rather, it's going to be difficult for the Thai government to bring her back to Thailand and be and to face the consequences of whatever the SEC, the Thai SEC, will impose on her, because Mexico and Thailand do not have a extradition agreement. Unlike the Philippines and the US, we have an extradition agreement. Pwede tayong magpa-deport pabalik ng Pilipinas ng mga kriminal na nagtatago sa atin dito sa Pilipinas. Unfortunately for Thailand, they don't have that. They don't have any treaty that will allow, fugitives that are hiding in Mexico to be deported back to their country of origin. So, Kun An also allegedly tried to pressure. Sorry, that's not the point pala. Okay, there is still also, rather, and sorry about that. I misread my notes. There's still also a lawsuit that was filed by Paula Sugart against Kun An for defamation. And that defamation stems from when Kun An allegedly tried to pressure, judges to favor Miss Thailand in Miss Universe 2023. So we now understand that this luto, this cooking, this supposed alleged rigging did not start just recently. It started from the time that it was acquired by a different organization, and it permeated up until now, because I think what happened here was that from the time that Paula Sugart left the organization, there was no one with integrity to guardrail the securities, or rather the security of integrity of the pageant. So now owners are just free to push the narrative that they want on who they want to win, and it now has evolved into this corrupted form of the Miss Universe pageant. Um, Now it makes sense because if it started in 2023, every year when you chip off a little bit of integrity here and there, then it makes sense that we are now at the situation where we are questioning the results. Again, we don't have any safeguard or safety nets to ensure that cheating is prevented, that transparency in the voting in the judging process is ensured. We don't know whether or not it was Raul who was making the final say on who gets to win, or it was the judges. If all of this, if you add all of this together, you now understand the why the Miss Universe pageant is in such a mess, because everybody is pushing personal gains over the what should have been the gains for the Miss Universe brand. It's kind of difficult now to accept on a global scale that the ones very very high brand, the very high regard that we have for Miss Universe is now one by one being damaged by all of these scandals, controversies that that makes us question the integrity of the Miss Universe pageant. Um, and this is no offense to Mexico's Fatima Bosch, but I don't believe that the pageant fandom will be freely accepting her as Miss Universe, except for a handful. Maybe, of course, her countrymen are going to support her no matter what, whether her win was clean or not. But the world as a whole, the universe, the Miss Universe fandom as a whole, I don't believe that they will be having the same amor or the same love, and they will have the same support for her reign as they did for, let's say, Demi Lanell Peters in 2017, Catriona Gray in 2018, or even Zozibini Tunzi. So all of these things that makes the Miss Universe the most respected international pageant is one by one being damaged by all of these things that's happening. And when judges, when candidates alike are saying that this is what's happening, this is, a call for transparency, or saying that my values does not reflect, or the Miss Universe values does not reflect my personal values, it taints the image of the Miss Universe pageant. It taints the integrity of the pageant. And unfortunately, if we still continue to have this by next year, then I don't feel and I don't believe that we will be having a fair level playing field at Miss Universe, and the pageant and the brand will ultimately die down, because when a pageant does not have integrity, it will not survive. Case in point, the reason why the Miss International pageant is still alive after so many pageant fans has abandoned its finals, calling it boring, calling it unimaginative, calling it, too stuck into its traditions, and it's not modern. The reason why it still survived to this day, it's because their integrity is unquestionable. There was no instance that a Miss International winner was eventually not proven to be a good winner. even when it took them 3 hours to deliberate whether or not to give the title to Miss Japan in I think it's 2012. Um, they still were able to survive that because ultimately their process of vetting, their process of selecting the winners is very much airtight in terms of transparency, in terms of integrity, in terms of honesty. And if you don't have an honest pageant, which the Miss Universe seems to be the one that is majorly hit as of this moment, then we probably are not going to see Miss Universe survive the next 5, 10 years unless someone with integrity, someone who is honest, someone who understand the dignity of pageants and the fairness of an equal playing field for all the candidates, someone who highly regards women, and respects them and respects the difficulties that they have to go through in pageants, owns the pageant. That's the only time that we are going to see Miss Universe jump back from all of this mess. But until we have that, we're probably not gonna be enjoying the Miss Universe for any longer if it will continue to take on the same path that it is going through right now. If they don't learn to autocorrect and navigate towards the more honest path, and the path that is laden with equity, equality, with integrity, dignity, and respect and honesty, it kind of feels for me that we are starting, or we already saw the start of the decline of the Miss Universe pageant, and all all together with it, the decline of the brand itself. And when the brand itself has died, even if the pageant continues to exist, when the brand has no longer integrity, it will be difficult to respect whatever results that they have. And maybe we will see, the ultimate demise of this pageant. Okay, let's go through some of your comments before we wrap this up. Um, whew, okay, so many comments here. Wait. Let me just scroll to where did we last end. Raul Reynolds Short says, next year, free participation, no fee needed. The only solution for removing this mess, Rocha need to collect all crumbs now. He did this to himself. For next year, Miss Mexi will be closely followed. I like the idea that if they want to make sure that the Miss Universe survives, or at least still, still has that integrity, they might want to scrap the franchise fee and let everyone join. That's the only way I think that the Miss Universe would have participants next year who are there because of the love of the brand, not because they just want to be represented, or they just want to be part of the circus that's gonna happen. Um, Bernardo Montoya, NFE, N4E says Mexico Fatima like. Okay. Continuing from the comments from Raul Reynolds Shorts, I don't like Mexico nor Fatima, but I dislike the way she won. A mediocre Miss Contestant. 0 in Pasarela, 0 in Q&A. She is PT Party Queen. Markiob says they did not even explain why there's no accounting firm this year. Exactly. That is kind of difficult to explain, because usually and traditionally Ernst and Young is there to ensure that the process of selection is smooth, that there is no question that these are the winners, these are the list of the winners, and there's no, what do you call this? There's no questioning of the results in itself. Okay. D. Yosan is asking, can Miss Universe still recover after all of these? Yes, I think so. One is to select always with integrity, to act always in integrity and in honesty. Because if you focus your energies in providing an equal opportunity for all candidates, to be represented at Miss Universe and to be represented at the semifinalists, equal opportunity. We're not asking for, special favors here and there, but rather to give the women, the opportunity to what do you call this, to make it into the top 30 on their own merit and allow them to do so. That is, I think, the biggest thing that the pageant can do, because right now people and fans are thinking that, if I can buy myself a spot and a title in Miss Universe, then that's the way I need to go, because it makes it easy for me. I don't need to have a strong Q&A. I don't need to have a strong walk. I don't need to have, a strong presence. As long as, I can pay for the title, then I'm gonna win the title. That is not the way that I think the Miss Universe pageant should, you know um, behave itself, should carry itself out. Because if you provide equal playing field for all, that is, I think, the best way for you to reclaim, the integrity that you've lost over the years, or the dignity that you allow yourself to lose over the years. Okay. Okay, buti naman at sinagot na ni uh, Vina Marshall 9135 says, Thailand's extradition act allows extradition requests to be processed even without a treaty, provided both countries agree to cooperate. Mexico can also act on reciprocity. That's the thing. If Mexico, or rather, if Kunan has a Mexican citizenship, it would be much more difficult to, to process the extradition act, even if it is in place, because of course Mexico will always protect its citizens, especially now if Kunan is, is a citizen of Mexico. Um, Continuing with Raul Reynolds, sabi niya, know what, please remove yourself for MUO, focus on brand and make it better, learn from all the issues this year. That's what he did. He actually removed and discontinued his shares at Miss Universe, and canceled, the investments that he had at Miss Universe. I think he only is processing or rather is only handling the production of the pageant, not necessarily being part of the organization itself, if he has effectively chosen to, remove all of his investments from the pageant. Okay. Jon Snow says, or is asking, here's a hypothetical question. What if Miss U will follow MGI and say that only the owners and employees will decide with that work, no judges? Oh, brand wise, that's going to be a brand suicide. It's branding suicide for the Miss Universe pageant. But if they want to make sure that the kind of girl that they want always wins, then probably that would work. The question is, will the Miss Universe fans and its longtime pageant fans accept that change? Because for the longest time, we all understood that there is a judging panel who will select the Miss Universe, because that is, how the Miss Universe organization wants to always be impartial with who gets to be crowned as Miss Universe. Of course, there are rumors before that a certain candidate is a favorite. This and that candidate are, the Miss Universe favorites. But ultimately, even if the Miss Universe has their own favorites, eventually it is the panel of judges who will select the eventual Miss Universe. So I kind of understand where you're coming from with that question. I understand that maybe this is more honest to what's going on now, but I don't necessarily feel that it would be aligned with its old branding. With the branding that it was full of integrity. Maybe now we're questioning it, but we're hoping that we still can, have a great selection in the future. That we have a fair playing field in the future. That we have, you know, uh, dignity and integrity back at Miss Universe. Um, we're still hoping though. Okay. Raul Reynolds is saying next year let AI choose the winner. You know what? Maybe it's high time, but again, I think here's one of the things that a lot of people don't know about AI. AI has this because it's machine and it is meant to mimic human thought and human interaction. It does also get to have certain biases. That is why if you're going to prompt on any AI, whether it's Gemini AI, whether it's ChatGPT, you would always need to include there, remove personal biases because AI will always tend to agree with the prompter, you, the one who's asking the question, the one who's asking them to do a certain task. AI has that innate, ability to mimic human interaction. So it does learn from you as much as you are learning from its answers. So when the AI learns that you are biased towards a certain country, a certain topic, or a certain personality, it mimics that. So you need to include in your prompt always to remove personal biases in your answers or in the way that AI answers your prompts. Okay. Um, I'm sorry, guys, if it became suddenly technical because earlier last Monday I did do a talk with the Department of Science and Technology and their arm, the PTRI, the Philippine Textile Research Institute, on integrating AI technology, 3D modeling, and digital fashion in education. So I'm kind of still after that high. Okay. Um, Here's a comment from Vina Marshall. My prediction is there will be no Miss Universe pageant next year. No parent will agree to have his daughter travel via private jet with Rocha. Hmm. Okay. Raul Reynolds is saying here, I have this premonition. Fatima will write a book about her journey and writing that she has been bullied since her participation in Miss Mexico, and her book will be a bestseller. I don't mind. I think it would be an interesting read from her perspective. But here's the thing. I also want to see if other girls would have a book regarding their experience in Miss Universe. It would be a good way to have, someone like Atisa Manalo or Stephanie Abisali or even, Olivia Yasi to write a book on her experience at Miss Universe so we can see, the differences of their perspective. Maybe there are some things that Olivia will reveal and Fatima will reveal that would make us understand the Miss Universe selection better. Okay. D. Yuson says, I appreciate the info about AI. Thanks, Sir Jason. Again, it's the educator in me that suddenly jumped in. So, but you're welcome. Saldi Salen, hello. Saldi Salen 47, 8947 says sarcasm only. Winners beginning next year and every year thereafter without accounting from Thailand, Mexico, without an accounting firm, would be Thailand, Mexico, Thailand, Mexico, Thailand, Mexico, until the brand is sold. LOL. Why not? I mean, if you wanna destroy the brand, I mean, might as well just crown the same country over and over again. And if we were questioning how come last year in Mexico, Ileana Marquez of Venezuela, as well as um, Opal Suchata of Thailand gave stronger. No. There's also still one. Idima of Nigeria. They were the three that really gave strong questions in the top five. Suddenly, we found them as runner-ups. Who knows? Maybe they just are testing the waters of cooking the results in Miss Universe last year. So we are left questioning what happened. How come the strong girls, strong facial girls, as well as strong pasarela and strong communicators, were edged out by Miss Denmark, who inadmittedly one of the best faces that I've seen, but had a very weak Q&A and not so strong pasarela compared to that of, let's say, Ileana Marquez of Venezuela, or even Peru Stati Calmel. Okay, where were we? Continuing with Raul Reynolds. I just subscribed Kaibigan. I love how you explain it. Indonesian German here from Barcelona, Spain. Terima kasih. Thank you very much for subscribing. I try to make intelligent conversations, especially with Mark. You would see us really like hashing it out when it comes to our opinions on pageantry or even on fashion. But we do try here in Sashes and Scripts to give you the kind of content that is not just fluff. We try as much as possible to make this an intellectual conversation so that we are training ourselves and the pageant community to rise beyond the entertainment and be more involved in the cerebral aspects of the pageantry. Because of course, pageantry in other countries is there is such a negative connotation to it. So we try to elevate the conversations around Miss Universe, Miss World, or Miss International, because it is one of the things that we can do to help elevate the industry as a whole. So thank you very much. There's a question here, or rather a comment from Vina Marshall, saying that Mexico could prosecute and domestically for crimes committed abroad under the principle of this is French. Oh, okay, I cannot. I'll try the English one. Either extradite or prosecute. Okay, so let's hope that happens. That justice happens because, of course, the Thai authorities are working in behalf of the debtors or the investors of JKN. And if JKN escaped and took away the investments of all of these investors and not give it back, I mean, that's kind of shady and that's kind of wrong. You always try to make sure that you live life as fair as possible and as righteous as possible, because one way or the other, it will bite you in the ass, especially for Kunan, who has two kids who might be suffering because all of these changes that's happening around them, especially they are just small kids. Okay, wait. Nasaan na ba yung comments? El Tucuyo Venezuela saying, si Christian McGarry nagpaparamdam lately for Puerto Rico 2026. Why not? I mean, if 2026 or 2027, I mean, I don't mind. If ganito din lang naman na luto naman pala yung mga nangyayari, magpadala lang tayo na ng na siguradong siguradong ilalaban tayo ng bongga, di ba, sa Puerto Rico. We cannot, honestly, for the Philippines, we cannot be sending someone of a neophyte because Puerto Rico has always been a hostile territory for Filipinas. It is very rare that we actually placed in whenever Puerto Rico hosts Miss Universe. I think the only time that we made semis was in 1970s. Um, so we kind of need someone who has pageant experience, and not just pageant experience locally but international pageant experience. And Christy McGarry seems to fit the bill on that. I would also, echo yung conversation namin ni Mark last time that we had a live stream, because I feel that if we send Win-Win Marquez, she would be like, she's gonna floor the competition down. But I do agree with Christy and or Win-Win to be sent at Puerto Rico next year. So let's hope and see, and pray that we're gonna send someone who has, the cajones to compete and compete head to head, toe to toe, shoulder to shoulder with, a lot of the Latinas. Nasaan na ba tayo dito? D. Yuson, sabi niya, there are 53 watching at the moment. Baka naman, Kerry, i-click ang thumbs up po. Yes, please. Please, please. Click the thumbs up button so more people will be able to, to watch our live stream. And also, please subscribe in our channel for more pageant-related and fashion-related content. Okay. John Snow 79, can you give instances wherein Miss Yu was being discussed worldwide or in the news? I remember MU96 were gaining weight, and when Kun An bought MU, do you think all of these were just for buzz or leverage? Perhaps, but right now, for me, what is standing out is actually the business relationship between Fatima Bosch's father and Raul Rocha. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the conspiracy theorist in me. But if that's the case, that there is a correlation between the business relationship of Bernardo Bosch with Raul Rocha and Fatima Bosch winning Miss Universe, then maybe it needs more people to do investigative journalism on it. I don't have the means to do that. Maybe someone who can infiltrate the organization and see from within the organization what's going on. Okay, because the last time that we had something that as large as a conversation as this was when the leaked footage of Kun An and Raul discussing in a private meeting that transgender women, married mothers, and married women, they can participate, but they cannot win Miss Universe at all. So, I mean, maybe it's time to resuscitate that video again so that it makes sense what's happening with the posts of Estonia's Brigita Skabak and Portugal's Camila Vitorino, right? Wait. Where is it? The next comment. Vina Marshall says, the software used in judging should be open source so that programmers from different countries can see if there are data manipulation hard-coded. But do you think they're gonna do that? I mean, I am skeptical, to be honest. Not unless there was a tabulator who really did the tabulation of scores and all of that jazz. Who will come out and say, okay, this is the official result because this is verified by our official tabulators. If you don't have that, I wouldn't believe any other explanation because it's so hard to trust this organization and or the people running the Miss Universe organization right now. If it was, let's say, Esther Swan or Paula Schubert back then, or even Jackie Charinan, who was in charge of, us media people back then at Miss Universe, would say that this is what's happening, we would probably believe them. But with these new people, it kind of is hard to grasp the level of their integrity. Okay? Are we seeing, okay, Markiab is asking, are we seeing another Rachel Gupta moment? A possible dethronement with Vina becoming the new Miss Universe. If this has been staged since day one, let's see. There is 300 something or 200 plus days on Fatima's reign, and maybe she will get tired of all of these negative talk around her and start doing something for the good of the brand, or it will just reinforce what people have been thinking, that it was Olivia Yase who actually should have won the pageant, right? Um, where were we? Markia, we're done with this comment from Markia. Alit Mike is saying, thank you for speaking mainly in English because I'm from Malaysia and loves any pageant commentary from the Philippines. Thank you. Apa kabar in Malaysia? We're trying as much as possible to train ourselves to talk mainly in English, especially for certain topics like this that is more international in audiences, because I feel that there is a need for more people to understand what's going on. Maybe, or perhaps maybe, the Miss Universe needs to do major damage control, and the way for it to reach the powers at B is for international audiences to echo what we're trying to say. And I am you know I am a fan of Malaysia's White Town Coffee. So thank you for the compliment, and thank you for joining us in our live stream. And I am hoping that there is more transparency for future editions of Miss Universe, because I also want that underrepresented countries, or countries that have not yet won Miss Universe, would also be given a shot at the top 30, at the top 20, at the top 15, top 12, even top 5, or win the Miss Universe title. Malaysia has been sending, really intelligent, gorgeous winners. Other countries in the Caribbean has been doing so. I've been advocating for a possible, top two black winners this year. I've mentioned before. What if we have Olivia Yasi and Ophelie Mezzino of Guadalupe become our top two, and have that opportunity, for bigger and wider representation of beauty in the international stage. And the best way to do that is through Miss Universe or Miss World, or even Miss International, so that there is an opportunity that we see different kinds of countries and their definition of beauty represented at a global scale. Next, we have this reply from Raul Reynolds on Markyub, saying that that will make the whole universe happy if Vina wins, because Vina is way better than the eventual winner. Vina Marshall says Patch Magtanong should be sent provided Rocha is no longer with MU org. But then again, Patch is already married, and she already has a law. She's already practicing her law degree, if I'm not mistaken. And I kind of wish for her to return to pageantry, or even in Miss Universe, if the playing field is fair. Because it's heartbreaking that we have all of these wonderful women, smart, educated, well read, well behaved, great performers, great speakers, great walkers on stage, and only for them to be ignored simply because there is a favored one to win. It kind of breaks my heart that they don't get the kind of fair competition that we all wanted them to have. So maybe yes, but when the conditions are right. Okay? Um, Oh, okay. El Tucuyo Venezuela is saying, Christine McGarry and Marie Montaigne were full packages and have connections that can back them up for a pasabog campaign. I agree. We were talking, Mark and I, in our previous live stream that, maybe Maureen Montaigne would be a great representative of the Philippines for Miss Universe in Puerto Rico next year because she guaranteed is going to fight tooth and nail for a top five placement or even an eventual win. Granted that it becomes a level playing field. Okay? Um, Raul Reynolds is saying, I think Miss Cosmo will be the best pageant for 2025. They will have an audit for the score after Glebova wrote in a statement. Yes, I agree with that. After the fiasco that happened last year, I think there was a moment of growth and learning. It was a teaching moment for the owners. It was their first foray at an international competition, managing an international competition. So maybe all the learnings that they had last year, they are, executing and improving on those this year. So we're keeping our fingers crossed on that, and we're hoping Chelsea Fernandez would give us a really good fight at the for the title. Um, Mark Yub says, I hope if a new era will take over the organization, they can bring back the old way of Miss Universe where they show the scores of the judges real time once the candidate came out in every segment. I've been advocating for that. I know that it's not gonna happen anytime soon, but maybe if there is so much clamor for that, they might return that again next year. Hopefully. Um, Ben Poggy Forever says fairness does not exist with the current, if not fake leaders of MUO. Strong words there. I am hoping that if Raul Rocha makes good with his, statement that he wants to sell the pageant. He sells it to someone like Miss Universe 1988, Porntip Nakyung Kanok, who is more popular with her English name, Bowie Simon. And I am hoping that she gets to acquire the Miss Universe pageant so that she can manage it much better. She has all the connections, I believe, with her billionaire husband. She has also the experience of being Miss Universe, so she knows the ins and out of the work as a crown winner. So she can probably handle better the questions of a newly crowned Miss Universe, and navigate her towards, safer shores with all of these negative publicity surrounding the brand. Um, John Snow says, di nga pwede Cote d'Ivoire and Guadeloupe or any Caribbean due to weak passports. That's according to Raul, and I don't believe that because Ophélie is also a French national, so she has all of the what do you call this? All of the blessings that comes with travel with a French passport. Um, Ben Poggy Forever. Porn tip, Simon will make the best leader. Should she assume MUO leadership? She has empathy and relatability. So I agree. So there, I think guys, we need to wrap this up now because we've been talking for almost close to 2 hours. It's been like an hour and 44, going 45 minutes. Ultimately, kasi, I think we we kind of need to not revolt, But the strong word here is we kind of need to remind the Miss Universe organization that the Miss Universe organization has always been built in integrity, in fairness of selection of judges and candidates and winners. That the Miss Universe brand has always been a brand that stands for women empowerment. And how can you be a pageant? How can the Miss Universe brand stand for women empowerment when it will not give its candidates an even playing field in terms of a shot in the crown? If they do not give equal opportunities for these women, to be crowned Miss Universe, if they don't have a equal shot at becoming Miss Universe, the best answer and the best way to manage the Miss Universe brand is to always put the women and the women who represent their countries front and center and give them all the tools that they need to be a success in the competition. Support them, give them equal opportunities, make the competition fair, make it equal to all, make it make it make it fair judging. Select judges that have integrity, that have no conflicts of interest. Select winners in a manner that is transparent, in a manner that is equitable to all. Because if you don't provide that for if you don't provide that for the winners, sorry, with the candidates, there will not be a Miss Universe to look up to in the next 10 years. I guarantee you that. If in the first 3 years after the IMG era, or rather not the IMG era, if the first 3 years after the what do you call this? After the Paul Sugar presidency, we are having all of this trouble, all of this question on integrity of the Miss Universe selection. And it will, if this will continue for the next 2, 3, or even 5 years, I guarantee you we will not be seeing a Miss Universe in the next 10 years because it will eat and kill itself to the ground. The people who are managing it right now will run it to the ground and will make it difficult for the Miss Universe pageant um, to salvage itself, to save itself from ruins. So I do hope, that the fans who are listening now, we keep on clamoring for fairness. We keep on clamoring and making aware to the owners of the Miss Universe pageant that we demand fairness and we demand equity and transparency and honesty from you. And I think that is eventually the only thing that would placate all of the negative emotions that the fans have with the Miss Universe brand. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining us in our live stream. Thank you very much for making this a very productive conversation with you. I am really very happy when it comes to our live streams lately because you have always been very smart, very intelligent, and this is the kind of community that I am so much grateful for, that I so much love because the conversations have always been enriching, have always been top notch when it comes to the way that we talk and the way that we communicate with each other. So let's keep our standards high, and let's keep making intelligent conversations on social media. And I hope that you will continue to support us in our channel. Please, for those who are still here, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more fashion and pageant content. So after the Miss International, we are still going to do one more live stream to close out, the main pageant season. We will do some updates here and there for the Miss Cosmo pageant, and then we're gonna gear up for another, fashion content January, fashion filled content this coming January because January and February, that is going to be the start of the new cycle of the fashion weeks in Paris and Milan. So thank you very much, everyone, and thank you very much for all the support that you've had. Have a great evening. If you're anywhere here in Asia, and if you're in the other parts of the world, good afternoon or good evening wherever you are. So thank you and see you again soon. Bye, everyone.